experience. My name is Diane Medford. I work at the Caribbean Examinations Council in the Examinations Administration and Security Division. And we are very pleased to be able to host this webinar this afternoon. We know that quite a few of you are preparing for the examinations, and some of you plan to use the testing platform because your territories have indicated that that is what you're doing. So this session is geared for you. We have as our presenter today, Ms. Paula Nichols, and she is going to continue the session. Please note that we expect you to ask a few questions at the end of the presentation, and you will receive the information on our housekeeping rules from Ms. Nichols shortly. Do enjoy the session, and we know you will learn a lot. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session once again. Just as a precursor to the session, if you can indicate what territory you're from, you can type it in the chat so we know who is listening in to the session. So we have a greater idea of the spread of the participants. At this point, everyone's mic is currently muted. We will unmute your mics at the end of the session for some persons to ask a few questions. And if you have any questions while the presentation is ongoing, you can also type them in the chat and we will try to respond to them as quickly as possible. To those persons who are with us on our social media platforms, we welcome you to the session and we want you to send your queries into us at support, and I'll have that email up for you at the very end of the session so that you can send us any queries or questions or comments you might have. So in today's session, we will be doing, as Ms. Medford indicated, it is mainly about the candidates, and we will be doing what they are to expect once they are doing electronic testing, and we will also give you a view of the candidate platform as well. So an electronic test is a test done using electronic media. That is a computer. You can use a tablet. You can use an iPad. Those things can be used for electronic testing. A laptop, those can be used for electronic testing. So it is just a replica of the paper-based exam, but it is done electronically. For all electronic exams, we have an application called the Safe Exam Browser that is used in conjunction with our electronic platform. The Safe Exam Browser secures the device that is being used so that candidates cannot manipulate or go outside of the examination. All they see when they log into their exam is the exam itself, so you do not have access to anything else on the device that you are using. Now, for the platform that is being used, the only browsers that are supported would be Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, and Safari. Now, on the right of my screen, I have the list of those operating systems that are supported. For those persons who might consider using tablets, the only ones supported are Windows tablets and any Mac device. Any Mac device should be the latest operating system. So that's iOS 10. Those are the ones that are supported, and as much as possible you try to update your devices so that they are running the latest operating system, and it will work well with the Safe Exam Browser and those addresses or internet browsers that are used with electronic testing. As you see here, Internet Explorer is not one of the websites used because it's no longer supported. Candidates can access their credentials. Now, the schools can run your credentials once they have been loaded into the ORS. This has not been done as yet for security purposes. However, once this has been done, the schools themselves, the admin at the school, can run the credentials and hand them to the candidates. The candidates themselves, once timetables have been received, you can log into your student portal and run your subject registered report, and you will also see your timetable, your login credentials for the electronic platform. As I indicated before, these credentials are not in the website as yet. Once they have been loaded, you will be notified of this. Okay, so we know that everyone is anxious about doing the exams and the timetables have not been sent out as yet, but you should receive them in good time before your exams are scheduled to start. However, once the credentials have been loaded into the ORS and we have notified the ministries of education, the information will be sent to you and the administrators at school can run the information for you. You can run it yourself once you have received your timetables, or when you get to your exam, once your ministry has indicated that your territory will be doing electronic testing, once you arrive at your examination, the supervisor themselves can also give you the information when you arrive. Okay, so that's 3 ways that candidates can receive their credentials for the electronic test. So in order to prepare for your exams, you can use our demo tests on our CXC website. They are demo tests, so you go through the tests and it will give you an idea of what an electronic test will be. So this is how the electronic test will look on the screen. You can get that from the demo test, or you can have an idea of how easy it is to just select your answers and move to the next one. And then you also have the Learning Hub where you can access various tests as well and various resource material that you can use for your examination. On our CXC website, we also have manuals. We have manuals for those persons who supervise exams, and we have a quick guide for candidates in terms of what is required during the examinations. Now, the examinations will have the same time as those persons who are writing paper. So if the test is set for 1.5 hours, that is the time that it is for both electronic and paper-based. If for any reason with the electronic examination, there is a challenge at the center before the exam starts, those supervisors are trained in how to add additional time to candidates. So candidates will not lose any time during their exam. They will always be given their additional time, or the time is given back to them so that they can have the full 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 45 minutes, whatever time is allotted for the examination, you will have that full time to complete your examinations. You must remember that CXC examinations, the rules and regulations remain in place for both paper and electronic. There is no change to those rules and regulations, so you just need to be mindful of that as well. For those persons who are using for the electronic modality, you should know that for modern languages, you will require headsets. Now, these will be provided for you. As I said, the ministries of education will notify you of whether or not you will be writing electronic exams. But for modern languages, you will be using headsets to listen to the recordings for languages. And if you are more familiar with using a mouse, then you should have a mouse. If you can use your pad on your laptop and it's easier for you, then you just need to practice using the mouse or using the keypad on your laptop so you're more familiar with the electronic modality. I will now give you a demonstration of the actual platform so you can see what it will look like for candidates. So let me just switch my share, the screen. Okay, so here I am going to log in as a candidate so that you can see what the candidates will see when they log into their exams. So I will log into 3 examinations. The first one I will log into would be mathematics. Can everyone see my screen? So the first exam I'm logging into is mathematics. This is the screen you will see once you have logged in. Wherever you are, you will see your candidate number. Now, these numbers that you're seeing are just demo numbers. So you wouldn't see this, you would actually see your live candidate number. So in here, you would see the name of the test, the day and time, and what's the time limit for that examination. You will see that this test requires Safe Exam Browser. So you click here to get ready. You will then see your instructions and you read your instructions as you would if you were in a paper-based examination. Time is given for you to read your instructions. And please make sure that you read your instructions carefully. Now, this is mathematics, as I indicated. For those candidates who might be taking the exams electronically, you will be given paper to do any working, but at the end, you will return that paper to your supervisor. You do not take it with you. So all examinations where you might be given scrap paper to write on and to do your working, you must always return that scrap paper to the supervisor once you have completed your exam and submitted. Okay? Here it will say Start Test in Safe Exam Browser. Once you select Start Test in Safe Exam Browser, it will ask you for a password, which your supervisor will give to you at the start of the exam. So you have your username and your password, which you log into the system with, and then you have an additional password to access the examination. Once you start Test in Safe Exam Browser, it will lock down your computer and you will see the questions for your exam. Now, because I'm doing a live session, I can't start the test in Safe Exam Browser because it will lock me out of everything. So what I will do is exit this and log in as a candidate who does not require Safe Exam Browser so that you can see what the actual test would look like. So I will click here to get ready. As I said, on every page, you will see your candidate number, so always be checking and verifying, and you start your test. This is math. As you go through, if you require scrap paper, as I indicated, you can ask for scrap paper. And once you're finished, you can resubmit that once you have submitted your exam. So you sit, you work out your response, you select, and you move to the next question. Every time I move, you will notice that at the top, it is saying saving. So you work out your response and you move to the next question. And you keep doing that, and all you're doing is selecting your answer. The word reset just removes any selection that you have made there, but you just choose another response and it will change the same way. So you can choose one and you move on. If you are unsure of the response for a question, you can flag it using this icon here, and you move on to the next question. If you're unsure of this response, you can flag it once again, and you move on to the next question. And you keep going through the exam, and you respond to the questions. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just giving you an idea of what it looks like. So I will show you at the end what happens. So I am just going through and responding and flagging and responding. Once I have gotten to the end of the examination, it will show you here at the top. Before you even say submit, you have some things, some icons here that you can look at. So you will see that you had 60 questions. You did not attempt 39 of them. So if you click on that, it will show you the ones that you did not attempt. If you go to the last one where it says flagged, you will see that you flagged 3 questions. You can either click on the question here and it will take you directly back to that question, and you can choose to respond. Or you can look for the icons that are on the bottom of the screen, those little gray tags, and you can select those questions by themselves and you can respond to them there. You can click submit again. If you don't want to do anything else, you simply submit now. Now on the top of the screen, you will also see the time that you have remaining. So if you have all of this time remaining, you can just go back and see if you can do any more questions. And you can go through them. And this is all you're doing. You're reading, you're working out your responses, and you're selecting your answers. Once you think that you have done as much as you can do, please try to do all of them. But once you've done as many as you know the responses for, you can click on the tick and simply submit now. And once you have submitted, you select the settings wheel in the top right-hand corner of your screen and you log out of the examination. And once you have done that, it will take you back to your main page and you are complete. That examination for you is done. If you have finished before the others, as I indicated, the same rules and regulations apply. So you will wait for the supervisor to allow you to leave. I will log into another exam now. This one I'm logging into is animation and game design. Make sure that you have your correct username and password in. Always check and verify as you are inputting your information. Just waiting for it to load. There you go. Click here to get ready, and you start your test. So these things do happen. We ask that you don't get frantic, you don't panic, you just allow the page to load. Sometimes it is loading the images and it might take a little longer to load than something else, but you just be patient with it and it will load. So you start your test. And you go through. This one is animation and game design, paper 1. Now, all of these tests that I am doing now are available as demos. Remember, I indicated that we have some demo specimen tests on our CXC platform. These are some of those tests that I am actually doing now. So you can also go through there and look at them and try them out as well. So I'm just going through a few of them so that you have an idea. And once you have reached the end, you submit. As I said, I didn't do all of them, so you just submit now. And once you have submitted, you log out, and that's the end. So the last one I will do will be a modern language. So I will do French. And here we have French paper 1. You click here to get ready. And let me see if I can share my computer song as well. Share and start the test. So here we have some images. I'm just waiting for that recording to load. And hopefully when I click play, you'll be able to hear that recording. Okay, I'll give them a few minutes to load. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. My Wi-Fi seems to be on the blitz. If it does load, by the time I'm done, I will come back and let you hear a couple of these recordings so that you are aware of what it might sound like or what it could sound like. Elle a pris. But yeah. So this is what the section 2 would look like for a language exam. Make sure you read your instructions. And you go through. Squeeze, allez. I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. My recording doesn't seem to want to work today. I'm very sorry about that. But in the demo test on the site, you would be able to hear it. So you can try it there if I'm unable to share it right now. So once the candidate has finished, they simply submit and submit now. And those are the 3 tests that I will show you for today. That's what the interface would look like for candidates who are doing electronic examinations. And once you have finished, you log out. So if the examination takes a while to load, you can do one of 2 things. So you can wait for it to load, make sure that the supervisor has the IT technician check to ensure that everything is okay with the internet in the labs or wherever it is you are doing your electronic examinations. And when the examination fully loads, remember I spoke earlier about persons being given back anytime they might have lost. The supervisors, as I said, are trained to give back candidates anytime. So if it does take a while to load, you will be given back anytime lost while waiting for your examination to load. So you don't have to worry about not having enough time. We ensure that you get the full time for the examination. Now, the only way that you would not get the full time is if you arrive late for your exam. And as I indicated, those CSE protocols remain in place for late arrivals, etc. Okay, so that was it from me. Thank you all. I'll hand you over to Miss Medford again. Miss Medford, are you there?
And there was I talking, not realizing my mic was muted. Good afternoon, everyone, again. And I'm sure that you appreciated the demonstration that we have had. Um, so at this time, we're going to take a few questions from you live. You would raise your
Oh,
hand.
sorry. Before you, sorry to interrupt you. The email that I had recommended for you to send any queries and questions to is currently up on the screen. So you can make a note of that, and I will hand you back to Miss Medford. Yes.
All right. So we're at this time, we're going to be taking a few questions from you. And to do so, to indicate that you have a question, you would raise your hand. Now, we have been trying to respond to the questions that you've been asking in the chat, and we know that we have missed quite a few. So we are going to just respond to some of them while Paula gets ready to call the names of those who are going to be asking questions live. One of the things that people don't seem to be aware of is that there are provisional timetables on our website. So if you go to cxc.org, you will find there our web page, and you can search for timetables, and you will find them. They're separated under CAPE, CSEC, and CCSLC. So you will be able to access them there. For those persons who are concerned about the scrap paper, quite a few people are asking what happens to them. Basically, what we do is if you're given scrap paper in the exam room, because it is usually paper that is from CXC, we collect it. And when you leave the examination room, you're not allowed to take any paper which was given to you. That's one of our security measures. And I'm sure that if you think about it, you would appreciate why we do that. So we do not prevent you from having the scrap paper, but you can't bring it into the room, obviously, because we don't know, what's on that paper. So we provide the paper, and then when you leave, we collect it. Another question that we've had is about the format of the paper. So when you check the timetables, you will notice you would have a paper 1, paper 3-2. In some cases, the paper 2 is being offered as well, and those papers follow the format as prescribed by the syllabus. So if you've seen an example of a paper 1 for a subject, that is the same format we're using for these examinations. Okay, now Paula. Repeat where you go for the timetable on our website, cxc.org, and just do a search for timetable. And when you click on the hyperlinks, you will find the timetables. All right. So,
Okay.
Miss
So,
Paula, first
sorry.
question.
Yes. I was just going to show persons. So here on our CXC website, can everyone see this? Miss Medford, you can see this?
Yes, I can.
We have a scrolling thing here. You have CXC COVID-19 updates. If you click on that and you scroll down, you will see also exam timetables. If you scroll down in here, you would have CCSLC, CSET, and CAPE. So you can click on these links and you would see the provisional timetables. Okay. So
All right,
we
Paula,
are
who is our
to,
first? Yes.
okay. So our first person would be Rochelle Victor. Okay, wait. It would be Oma Bali Raj. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Hi, good day.
Good day.
Right. I was seeing that while you were doing the question, you could reset it and change your answer, right? Hello?
Yes,
Right.
that is possible. Yeah.
And what if you already selected it and it's saved? Would you be able to, like, when you're rechecking, would you be able to change that answer again?
Yes, you can change it once you have not submitted your examination.
Okay, then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's a question, Paula, is there any resource available to practice these online papers? So I was thinking you could show where to find the demo test. Yes, we have
Okay.
demo test online on our
So
website. So Paula's going to
if
show
you
you where
can
to
see
find
my
those.
screen, on our CXC website, we have e-tests. And in here, you have demo e-tests. So you have CCSLC, CSEC. Now, all of the papers are not currently here, but you have a few that you can go through them and you can practice. So the ones here, like industrial technology, this would be a paper one exam, information technology. If you click on it, it does not require a password. It will take you directly into the test, and you can simply practice here. Now, when you get to the end, you cannot submit, but you can just practice your selection and going through and seeing what an exam would actually look like. You won't receive a response at the end, but you can actually just go through and have a feel for what electronic exams would be like.
Okay, while you do that, I'm going to answer a question from the chat. Persons who have French and biology have a clash. Now, if you have a clash on your timetable, the procedure is that you notify your school, and the school will notify the local registrar in your territory, who will liaise with your principal to determine how that clash will be resolved. It could be that you will write one examination before the other candidates, then you will be sequestered while they write it and you will write the other. But clashes are things that we deal with regularly, so please don't be alarmed by the fact that you may have a clash. Just ensure that you notify someone quickly about it.
Okay, so next up is Ashmir. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody present here. My question is in reference to what was said earlier about candidate credentials. You said that they will be provided soon. By chance, can you give us a range date, as exams are set to start on June 29th as seen on the timetable? Exactly when will the credentials be released to schools and students?
Usually we provide credentials approximately 1 to 2 weeks before examinations are scheduled to begin.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there an alternative for schools that don't have good internet? Yes, remember that the ministries in the territories will indicate to CXC the centers that are using electronic platform. So if your school, for example, is one that is not able to accommodate that, the ministry, of course, will not indicate that you will be doing the examinations electronically and you will be offered the paper-based option. Paula? Next question.
Next up, we have Amy. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Good afternoon. I have a question about the foreign language e-testing exam. When we do the written exams, the multiple choice, for example, the first section where only the teacher is only allowed to say the question, the sentence once, and she can't repeat it after that, or he can't repeat it after that. So for the e-testing, are you only able to play it once for that first section?
Yes, you will. It will be restricted to one replay.
Okay, and what if there's a problem where it like glitches while it's playing and you're unable to play it again? What would be done in that situation?
If it glitches while it's being played,
Yes.
if the supervisor alerts CXC, we can reset it from our end.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, from the chat, will social distancing be practiced during exams? And yes, that is a requirement. It's a national protocol, and the ministries are already looking at the centers for the examinations to see how many additional rooms they will need to ensure that social distancing occurs.
Okay, next up we have Shania Watley. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a question regarding the French paper. What if there's an issue with the audio during the exam? How will that be fixed?
If there is an issue with the audio, we can either reset it from our end, or the teacher, there will be a paper copy available and the teacher can also read it to you. And you
Okay,
make your selections on the computer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What about students that have not finished their SBAs? Now, why wouldn't you finish your SBA? Tell me. Anyway, for those who've not finished the SBAs, I'm sure that you have heard by now that we have extended the deadline. You will need to contact your teachers and at the schools and so on for them to give you information as to how that completion will be accomplished. All right.
Okay, next up we have Crystal Carroll. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My question is, so technically I'm from Guyana, and yet the Ministry of Education hasn't been responding with us whether we will be taking the e-testing or whether we will be doing it paper-based. But I'm wondering, during this e-testing, will the devices be given to us, or some of us will have to carry our own devices, or?
Well, first of all, the Ministry of Education in Guyana will probably, knowing the local registrar who's there, she will probably post something very soon about what is happening in the territory. We actually have a meeting tomorrow, and I will let her know that during our webinar, Guyana was specifically asked, and I'm sure that you will see something soon as a public announcement. In terms of bringing your own devices, we do have a bring your own device protocol. There are certain conditions under which the devices can be used. And there are certain devices, of course, you would have seen from the list that Paula gave earlier that don't meet the requirements. But if you are going to be bringing a device, that will be discussed with your school and so on, because they have to ensure that they're meeting the criteria. Also, for examinations where, because of the type of examination, you may be using tools on the computer, there are certain things that have to be done and certain checks that have to be made, and then the device will need to be at the school 2 days before. So if you are thinking of utilizing your computer, if you are doing e-testing and you don't know that until the local registrar puts that information out, you should consult the information that we have on our website about the suitability, whether it meets the requirements for use in the examinations. But I wouldn't worry because your local registrar tends to ensure that information is given as long as she has it. So I'm sure that there will soon be information advising whether or not any e-testing is being done in Guyana. And just remember that where there's no e-testing, the paper-based option is offered. All right.
Okay, next up we have Kai Allman. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment. Good afternoon.
Persons who are high risk are still being advised to stay at home. What provisions is CXC putting in place to address this concern and ensure that we remain safe?
Right. So the examinations are being held under the conditions and the national protocols that are in the territories. Where people are high risk, the centers will make special provisions, just as we do for special assessment arrangement candidates. If a person has a special need, special provisions are made. Then the schools, if they're aware of that, will contact the local registrars in terms of special conditions being made for those candidates.
Thank you.
Paula?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute my mic. Next, we have Saeed Karim. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment. Good afternoon. Go ahead with your question. We can hear you.
Okay, while we're waiting on Mr. Karim, questions about paper 2. Remember that CXC has indicated that this is going to be a modified examination.
Hi, good afternoon.
And Mr. Karim? Modified examinations, and therefore there are only a few paper 2 examinations which are actually going to be offered. Those will be in the modern languages, human and social biology. So the modern languages, human and social biology. Yes, so for those who are asking, for those who are asking about EDPM paper 2 and so on, no, that is not going to be offered. Visual arts, also, the paper 2 is not being offered. All right. Paula?
Okay, next up we have Tamishwar Raj Kumar. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was wondering if somehow there is like a power outage like during a day that we have exam scheduled and it lasts for like the whole examination period. What would be an alternative for that?
The paper-based examination.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, we have, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but it's Miss Lawrence, Miss or Mr. Lawrence Vida. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I called it incorrectly. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Yes, good afternoon. The pronunciation is Owida. I'm from Guyana. I have
Okay,
a question.
thank you.
Yes, I have a question. The e-testing, the papers, my daughter, she keeps doing it. Is it normally being marked? Because we always check in and we don't see anything returning.
For those demo tests on the platform, no, they are not. As I would have said earlier, that they are merely for demonstration purposes. So you just you practice. So it's just to give you an idea of what it looks like or what experience you may have. The same way how I went through it for the live demonstration just now. But once you submit, there's nothing to submit. It's just a demo test.
Okay, thank you. But I did not join from the beginning. That's why I asked.
No problem.
Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, so next up we have Akil Gill. You may unmute your mic and raise your comment or question.
Good afternoon. I have a question on what would be the new weightings of paper 1, 3, and the IA/SBA.
CXC is using models in order to offer this modified examination. So weightings and so on are not going to be we're not going to have a discourse on how that is going to work. Just know that we are taking a lot of things into consideration to ensure that you get a valid grade, one that we can defend if called upon to do so. We just ask that you do your best at the examination and in your SBA. All right?
Okay.
Okay, yes, Brianna Francis, there is a paper 2 in French and Spanish. Remember I said the paper 2s are being done on the modern languages, both for CAPE and CSEC, as well as human and social biology. And for those of you who seem to be panicking over here in the chat, remember that CXC is not dictating that the territory must offer e-testing for the examination. If a territory is unable to accommodate it, then the paper-based option is being offered. So, and I'm sure your ministries are not going to make choices for you that are going to be detrimental. All right, so just remember, it's not as though they're going to suddenly create a computer lab and put you to sit in it. All right.
Yes, so there are certain protocols and certain infrastructure must be in place, as Ms. Medford indicated, before the decision is made to take examinations electronically. And now with the COVID situation, you also have to be aware of national protocols. So the ministry will make the best decision for you. Okay, next up we have Roberta Binder. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Good afternoon. Can
Good
you hear me
afternoon.
clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I noticed when you did the exam, you submitted at the end. From my recollection, when you do the paper-based exam, you receive a receipt at the end. Are you going to receive such a receipt that say that you sat the exam? Some
Yes,
sort of proof?
receipts will be given to you.
Would it be in electronic form or
No,
printable
it
form?
wouldn't be. It would be printed. So you will still have to sign it the same way.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, Matthew Carmichael, who is surprised that nobody has touched on the oral examinations. I'm not sure, but I will just say that for the modern languages, there will be oral examinations. These examinations will occur either in the usual manner. We are offering the facility of online as well for those local registrars who indicate that they may need to do so.
Okay, next up we have Keandre Graves. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment. Keandre Graves. Okay, and we will try Leela Louis. You may unmute your mic and proceed with your question or comment.
Hello, good afternoon. Can
Good
you hear me?
afternoon. Yes, we can.
I'm wondering for the literature exam, because we have to do a lot of, how do you call that? Paragraph writing. How would it be for um for it?
The literature exam paragraph writing, as far as I'm aware, are you speaking to the paper 2 examination? Remember that the literature exam paper 2 is not being offered for this modified examination schedule.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, next up we have Amanda Matthews. You may unmute your mic and raise your question or comment.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Good day.
I was wondering, right, since y'all are only offering the paper one, will y'all be making changes to the paper one, or will the format remain the same as the previous years?
There is no change to the format of the paper one.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, we are going to take 2 more questions. So next up, we have Sabrina Augu. You may unmute your mic and raise your comment or question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm from Guyana. My question is it relevant, is it of great importance that exam be held presently? Were we still going apace as against the pandemic we're experiencing? I don't know how abreast you guys are, but our cases in Guyana are increasing. Is it of great importance that we put the children's health at risk? That's my concern. Thank you.
And we are concerned also about our stakeholders. the CXC had made several options to provided different dates to the CARICOM ministers in terms of the timing of examinations, and the initial vote was for the July examinations. I think that the ministers have also been thinking about the fact that candidates want to move on as well in life, not only to Caribbean universities, but to those overseas. And they're feeling that if we can enforce the national protocols for the examinations, ensuring that people remain safe, it gives them a good chance of doing well and being able to move on with their lives. The modified approach was taken so that candidates will not have to be moving as much around in the territories to go to several different examinations. And in terms of determining how we could reduce the time in terms of the turnaround for exams, we tried to look at the specific profiles and so on that candidates would need to be assessed in to ensure that we could give a valid grade. And the timetable as you see it now is the best that we could have offered at the time. And as I said, the timing was voted on by the various ministries in the territories.
Thank you. And for our last question, we are going to go to Don Eiffel. You may unmute your mic and raise your comment or question.
Okay, I had posted it in the chat, but I noticed that the webinar is being recorded. Is it going to be available for persons to view after? I am sure that there are quite a few students who may or may not have seen this notification in time. So is it possible that the recorded webinar will be available for others to view, as it had such a quite a bit of informative demonstrations going on?
We usually post the webinar recordings after the webinar. We usually just go through and our webmaster will work on it and then he will post it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's the last one, Ms. Medford.
We thank you for joining us. We have been asked to have one more webinar. So if you have joined us today for the candidate experience, we were interested in making sure that the candidates were aware of the e-testing platform. I do want to say again to you that for some of you, this may have just been an information session because in your territory, e-testing may not be offered, but it's always good to, see something new. We want to wish you all the best from CXC. We want to wish you all the best in your examinations. We know that you'll do well because we know that you've been studying. We do recognize that you've been having a difficult time in terms of dealing with the delay in the examinations. I know quite a few were hyped earlier and you're losing a lot of your motivation and things like that. But we want to encourage you to just keep studying and to do well. We look forward to some great results this year. Thank you. Have a good evening.